let's see, we got the congressman now?
I think we're here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we got you. I was just kind of giving a high-level summary of the National Defense Authorization Act. That, of course, is the legislation that funds our military. And it passed last week, I believe, sir, just on a very narrow margin, 219 to 210. All but 4 Democrats voted against the measure. And the sticking point seems to be that there are provisions that would fund travel for a service member to have an abortion procedure. And the other are these gender transition care surgeries and treatments that the taxpayer would fund. That's embedded in this bill. Is what they wanted to embed. Yeah,
well, I'll tell you what, we want to protect our war fighters. We want to protect our military. We want to strengthen the ability for our men and women in uniform to do their jobs. And that's what I'm going to stand for every day and every night. And that's what I believe in is, first and foremost, we've got to protect our men and women in uniform who are out there doing the job to protect this country. And paying for some of these things that I think are unnecessary spending is something I don't think we need to be doing.
Yeah, it seems crazy. And, of course, I think over in the Senate, Senator Tommy Tuberville has been holding up some of the appointments. At least they're hanging him with that responsibility because of all this wokeness, so-called wokeness, that's just invaded our Department of Defense. It truly is crazy, Congressman.
It is, and I'll tell you what, again, it goes back to, I kind of view things as from a law enforcement perspective. My number one job as a law enforcement officer, whether I'm a sheriff or whether I'm a rookie patrolman, is to protect the public. And that's the way I feel about our men and women in uniform. And all these other things that seem to get thrown into them are making a distraction away from our number one priority, and that's to protect this country.
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel about it, and I'm going to fight this stuff every chance I get.
So these amendments, of course, were inserted that would rescind this funding for abortion and gender care. That's headed over to the Senate, but it doesn't look like it's going to pass in the Senate. It's going to survive in the Senate. What are you hearing?
Somebody made a statement about the Senate over there at the Senate graveyard. So, we'll have to everything we do, we send over there, and we wait on old Schumer. And, he's not going to get no hurry about doing anything. And but we're doing our job over here in the House, which I've been very proud of, working hard over here every day. And but sending it over there to the Senate cemetery is what seems to be going on these days.
Yeah, sure does. That seems to be the case. What else are you guys working on? Oh, something else I wanted to bring up was I think there was a measure recently, if I'm not mistaken, about additional funding for Ukraine. And
right.
I think you voted against that. Maybe the only one of our delegation that did. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct. And I'll tell you this, I've been able to get, quite a bit of information. And I know that we need to stand up and we need to do what we need to do, but I just don't believe in writing a blank check for everything that's going on around the world. I think we need to have some accountability. The American people want to know where their tax dollars are being spent. And I think that's the reason why I voted for it. I want to know what's going on. I want to make sure they understand that we're not just going to rubber stamp a check to them. I know we need to fight the Russians. The Ukrainians need to fight the Russians, not us.
Right.
But and we need to help them as much as possible because they are actually doing a good job. But we just can't rubber stamp this money every time we turn around sending more money. We've already sent $75 billion. Let's find out exactly where every bit of that's going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will just want to pass this on to you, sir, is that I probably hear more about that issue in Mississippi from Mississippians who just believe that it's wrong for us to just keep piling more money into this conflict, be it in assets or cash. I just want to pass that on, that I do think that's consistent. Right or wrong, it does seem to be consistent with the Mississippians.
Well, you know what? Just look at where we've been over the last since 9/11. We've been to Afghanistan, we've been to Iraq, we're all over the world, and so and it seems like every time when we get into one of these conflicts, once we start deciding that we're coming home, look at the disasters that have happened. And, I just want to make sure that we hold everybody accountable for the money that's being spent. There's so much money that's wasted on a daily basis around here in Washington. It's always easy to spend somebody else's money. That's an easy thing to do. So I want to keep a close eye on this thing.
Yeah. The GAO just reported their findings revealed that there's some $247 billion of improper payments. That's not necessarily wasteful spending, just improper payments, just flaws in the systems that issue all these checks. That's insane.
Oh, I know it. And, it's just like so many of these government buildings that are empty right now. And I've been on a committee hearing going over some of this kind of stuff that we're spending money. There's no telling how much money we waste every day on empty government buildings and bureaucrats are not coming to work. Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. There's so many of them they can't even figure it out.
But
we got to get a handle on this.
And my understanding for people in Washington, sir, is that there's cranes all over the place building more buildings. Is that true?
Hey, I'm telling you, yeah, there's a crane on top of this building that I'm in right now. And I'm telling you what, I look at it when I come by here every morning. I was like, good grief, what are we doing now? So, yeah, I'm telling you, there's some building going on up here, buddy.
Oh, my gosh. Well, we got a couple of minutes left. What's next on the calendar there in the House?
Well, I'll tell you this. We're holding some hearings this week, and I got at 2 o'clock on Homeland Security. There's so much waste going on down there at the border where, there's just tons of brand new steel that's just been sitting down there that could be used as a border wall. It's already been paid for. These ranchers are down there. It's on their property, and it's just sitting there. And it's just millions of dollars of steel just sitting there wasting away. So we've been putting the hammer on Homeland Security Committee on that, trying to get some answers on that kind of stuff, trying to figure out what we can do with this material. Let's get that wall going so that we can protect this country.
Yeah. And, of course, you got whistleblower from the IRS still testifying to Congress there. That thing looks so dirty, and it just feels like that the DOJ just doesn't have any interest, or the FBI, in pursuing Joe Biden and the Biden family.
Well, that's pretty obvious. I mean, we're seeing every day, and there's new revelations being brought to us every day. Judiciary is doing a great job. We're digging up as much as we can. We just want the facts. Just tell the truth. Let's get the information over to judiciary so we can find out and make some honest assessments about what the Bidens have been up to.
Absolutely. Appreciate you joining us today, Congressman Mike Ezell. Take care, sir. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.
You got it. We're coming right back in the Element Wealth Studios.